Hello? Testing. 1, 2. Okay. This is the audio diary of Sally Grissom. The date today is... the hell does it even matter? It's October 29th, 1943, I guess. For me, that's the day after August 14th, 20... So... whatever that means. This recorder is enormous. When they were getting my room here set up for me, they asked if I wanted a journal for my thoughts. I don't much like written journals, so I told them I wanted to record my voice instead. I much prefer hearing my thoughts out loud. I guess I was imagining some kind of handheld deal, not like this monstrosity on my desk, but I'm glad they brought it. I need to keep a record of my thoughts here. They are more jumbled than they've ever been. Let me start from the beginning. Okay. I was at my lab at the SSC. I'm a resident physicist there, the face in front of a small team of other researchers. We were building an array of these generators that cancel out the Higgs mechanism. I mean, this thing was our baby. We had poured countless hours, sleepless nights, and about, 9 figures into this thing. After a solid year of work, we were finally ready to test it. So there I am on the day of, and my hands are shaking with anticipation as I placed a kilogram of platinum, our test mass, on a pedestal in the center of the array. As it spooled up, the vibration knocked the cylinder onto the floor, so I left the observation room to go put it back on its pedestal. I remember one of my assistants asking if I wanted them to stop the test, but I told them not to waste time. I actually said, "It won't do any harm." Won't do any harm. The generators hit critical energy faster than they should have. I heard this loud hum and a crackle of electricity, and I remember the smell like ozone and the taste of iron in the back of my throat. I tried to look out at my assistants, but the world had gone blurry. A bright light crashed across the room. For just a second, everything went black and white and red, and then the light got brighter, hotter, whiter and whiter. It filled my whole vision. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the deck of a huge boat. My head was full of white noise. I was dizzy and shivering cold. The contents of my breakfast were spread out in front of me. Wasn't my best moment. I must have stayed a good 5-6 minutes, half conscious, on the cold metal floor before anyone found me. I remember a pair of hands checking my pulse, making sure I was breathing. And that first pair of hands called for a second, and before long I had a whole... what do you call a bunch of Navy guys? Squad? A sloop? A swearing. Yeah, that's it. A swearing of sailors surrounded me, and they spoke to each other in hushed tones. One of them came and ordered the rest to take me to the brig. I mean, at least I think that's what he said, something like that. I don't remember the exact words. I was pretty out of it, but that was definitely his tone. The first sailor, the one who checked to see if I was alive, he refused. He said I should be taken to the sick bay. One of them asked if I could walk. Walk? I meant to say I can barely stand. Who are you people? Anyway, I demand to talk to someone in charge. Well, I meant to say all that. As I sort of, wobbled on my feet, mumbled a bit, and puked. All over the nearest sailor. A few of them scooped me up and carried me down to the lower depths of the ship. So, sidetrack. When I was young, my parents took me to see the USS Intrepid in New York City. It's a docked aircraft carrier from World War II that had been retired and then renovated into a sea, air, and space museum. The lunar lander was there, and my parents had wanted me to see the capsule my grandfather had landed on the moon in. But back to this ship. Once my vision cleared a bit and I could finally see where I was, I remembered thinking that this ship looked almost exactly like the Intrepid, except that here, the controls weren't sealed behind plexiglass. I was in a holding cell. I mean, it was just a cage, really. Like a closet with bars, like stuffed in the corner of one room, no more than maybe 5 feet across. I lay there for a while, moving as little as possible, holding my throbbing head, trying to stop the room from spinning. Maybe even trying to wake myself up from this terrible dream. Finally, after what seemed like an hour, but was probably more like 15 minutes, I heard a voice from inside the room. Evidently, one of the sailors had stayed behind, that first one, the one that cared whether or not I was still alive. He was quiet and calm, like the sea after a storm. He said to me,
"Ma'am? Excuse me, ma'am, can you hear me? Take it easy. Just take it easy. Don't worry, ma'am. You'll be all right. The director's on his way out here now, and he's gonna want to talk to you. Rest up. Save your strength."
Where am I?
"You're in Philadelphia, ma'am. Or, I suppose, just off the coast of Philadelphia."
On a ship?
"Yes, ma'am. You're aboard a Cannon-class destroyer escort. Most days we're running men and materials to the Allied fronts. Today we're doing something different."
Different?
"Well, ma'am, I can't tell you much. It's all classified, way above my pay grade, but I guess you must know. Some Army scientists have taken over operations this week, run over the ship like ants on a picnic."
Must know?
"Well, sure. Isn't that what you're doing here?"
I'm not sure what I'm doing here.
"Well, you went through an awful lot of trouble getting past our security. How'd you manage that, by the way?"
No, I was in my lab. My machine. There was a bright light, and
"You should save your story for when the director gets here."
It's not a story. It's true. I'm a scientist, a physicist. I was working in my lab, and this generator, it must have...
Shh. Calm down, please. Save your strength. Here, drink some water.
Thank you.
What's your name?"
Sally.
"Petty Officer Chet Whitman. Nice to meet you." "Now listen, ma'am..."
Doctor.
"Sure. Okay, Doc. Listen, whatever your story is, I believe you. I saw what happened. I was there on the deck when we turned our machine on. There was a big flash of white. Our thing did its thing, and then the light faded, and you were lying on the deck. I saw you appear out of nowhere. I don't know enough about it to know what they were doing. I just sailed the ship, but I know it's something weird. For all I know, you're some ordinary lady minding your own. Hell, maybe you're working with us on some other government science project."
I'm not with the Army, I told you.
"But it doesn't matter. Because the director, he's got to act as if you're a spy that snuck on board to steal his project. You dropped yourself into a whole mess of top secret, ma'am, and you're not leaving the Eldridge until he talks to you and finds out everything you know. So take it easy. I'm real sorry, but I've got a feeling you're in for a long day."
They kept me in that cell for 5 hours. I couldn't stretch my arms, and my head was still spinning and pounding from the inbound trip. I asked for Dramamine, and all I got was, like, a confused look from Wickman. Apparently, they don't have that here. So they carried me up to the interrogation room, and just about the time that my head stopped spinning, in walked the director. Imagine a cigar-chomping army general, and then you... No, just imagine a cigar-chomping army general. That's the director. Big frame, square jaw, hair slicked back to an inch of his life. Under his practiced smile, he was a shark. Cunning, focused, and lethal.
What's your name, little girl?
Fuck you. That's my name.
See, and here I was, perfectly ready to assume your cooperation. I was gonna sit here, smile politely, ask a few questions, and we'd be done. You'd be off on your merry way. But you've decided to be hostile. So now I have to treat you like a hostile captive. And hostile captives don't get treated well on my ship. They get strung up like a carcass in a butcher's shop. They get questioned at the end of a hot poker, and they leave screaming in agony, or quietly sobbing, broken and torn. Now, does that sound like very much fun to you? No, me neither. So, should we try again? What's your name?
Sally.
Nice to meet you, Sally. My name's William Donovan. Friends call me Bill.
Nice ship you got here, Bill.
See? Friends already. Thank you. It's a modest little escort, but it was on hand to do the work we needed. Where are you from, Sally?
The U.S.
Can you be a little more specific, honey?
No.
Now, I've told you what happens if you don't cooperate.
Not if you're going to keep calling me honey and little girl. It's Dr. Grissom. And I'm not just going to sit here and be talked down to just because I'm a woman and you've got me locked up.
I'm sorry, Doctor. You're absolutely right. Now, please, can you tell me where you're from?
I'm from all over the country. Grew up on a farm in Iowa, went to school in the Northeast. I've been working in Texas for the past few years.
Where in Texas?
Waxahachie.
Waka what?
Waxahachie. Near Dallas.
And what do you do out there in Waxahachie, Texas?
I'm a physicist. I'm working on the SSC.
What's that?
The superconducting super collider? The big particle accelerator? Biggest in the world, right near Dallas. Isn't this a military science division?
Who told you that?
That sailor. The one that brought me up here. Wickman.
Good kid. Smart. Sure does talk a lot, though. Where'd you go to school, Dr. Grissom?
MIT.
MIT, as in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology?
I'm not sure how many other MITs there are, but yeah, MIT. Why?
I'm just impressed. I've never met a woman with a doctorate from MIT before. Very impressive.
Thank you?
So, Doctor, in your expert opinion, how do you think you ended up on my ship?
I'm not sure. I was working with a machine in my lab. It was supposed to negate the Higgs field, localized to a specific...
In English, please, Doctor. Not all of us have degrees from MIT.
It canceled out one of the fundamental forces of the universe. And I kind of got in the middle of it. So I get why something happened to me, but why I ended up on your ship, I don't know. Can you tell me any more about what you guys are working on here? Maybe something between the two?
Nice try.
Bill,
Listen, Dr. Sally Grissom from Iowa, or whoever you are, I'm done playing games here. Who are you working for?
I told you, I work for the SSC.
The SSC? I see, and how much would they have paid you if you had brought our plans back to Germany?
Germany? What are you talking about?
Doctor, I know for a fact that what we're doing here is on the bleeding edge of scientific discovery. The stuff we're doing here, it sounds like something straight out of Astonishing Tales. It's amazing, it's powerful, it's dangerous. And I will see myself burning in hell before I let Adolf and his Kraut goons get his hands on this technology.
Adolf? Krauts? What is this, World War II?
It sure ain't the revolution, sweetheart. And we have come a long way since then. Plenty of new ways to keep someone locked up, to keep them in agony. Until we learn every Nazi secret that you've got in that pretty little head.
What's the date?
What?
The date. The date today. Please, before you lock me up and throw away the key, torture me until I'm a bloody goddamn stump rotting away in the cage for the rest of my days, just tell me, what is today's date?
An odd last request.
Please. Bill. Please.
It's October 28th, 1943.
Oh no.
Officially, it's known as Project Rainbow, but
I've only ever heard it called the Philadelphia experiment. An urban legend, or so I thought. As the story goes, the military was testing some kind of cloaking device to shield ships from enemy radar. It went back to some of Einstein's theories. But when they turned it on, there was a bright flash, and something went wrong. Some people say the ship disappeared or teleported. Some people say it really did become truly invisible. Late night AM radio conspiracy fodder, am I right? But the USS Eldridge really did test out a device that could bend light, but it did something else. And instead of cloaking the ship, here I am. What I'm guessing is that their weird science plus my weird science equals time travel? I don't know. I'm still working it out. Once I had the director convinced that I wasn't a spy, they took me back to the shore and put me on the next flight out west. When I stepped off the plane, I was slapped in the face with this wall of hot air. The sun beat down on me from a cloudless blue sky, and the reflection off the desert was blinding. They pushed me into a Jeep, and we drove for a few more hours. As much as I would ask, I couldn't get a word out of the director or the driver in that whole time. We just drove in silence for hours. Miles and miles of sand passed us as we went further into the flat desert away from civilization. Finally, about 10 minutes before we arrived,
Here, read this.
You scared the hell out of me.
Fall asleep?
Yeah.
Not much to the scenery, I know. Flat for miles, makes you sleepy. No shame. Not long now. Here, read this.
What is it?
It's a highly classified military profile on your new home.
My new... What do you mean?
We are rapidly approaching the town of Polvo, New Mexico. Population about 600 square miles. It's not a town you'll find on any map. That's because the US government built it 2 years ago. Now the purpose of this little town is to provide a think tank for clever scientists, all run by the Office of Developed Anomalous Resources, ODAR. Here, removed from the rest of the American people, they can be free to think up new ideas for the war effort. Ideas like the machine we were testing today.
So you want me to join your scientist think tank?
Well, it's not that simple. You see, this town, the work that's done here, the people that live here, even the babies that are born here, it's all classified on a level so deep, barely a handful of men in the entire country know it even exists.
And that includes me.
Bingo.
So I'm a hostage.
A house to yourself, 3 squares a day, a town full of people just as smart as you are, and all the new gadgets the US Army can buy. If that's a prison, sign me up.
But I can't refuse.
No, you can't.
And how long will I be kept there?
Win the war for us, and then we'll talk.
And that was it. I'm going to be working for them. They've got a whole town out in the middle of the desert. It seems kind of like what I've read about Los Alamos and the Manhattan Project, where they built the first nuclear weapons. Donovan says he's going to give me free rein. I mean, who knows? He said he'd even get me some staff when he can pull them away from other projects, and I won't lie, that makes me nervous. I've seen the movies about going into the past, changing little things. I don't want to pull anyone away from anything that was going to have an impact on my history.
My name is Esther Roberts. I work in the Predictive Mechanics Division under Anthony Partridge.
Jack Wyatt. I'm a mechanical engineer.
Ever since I could read and write, I worked for the family business on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I had a knack for numbers, but left New York for college and never looked back. I graduated summa cum laude at the University of Chicago, and then I started my graduate studies
Yeah,
at...
what can I say? Grew up in New Jersey, got my undergraduate degree at Cornell, got my master's in mechanical engineering from MIT, and that's where Dr. Partridge recruited me. I've been with ODAR ever since.
I'm just not sure why I'm being brought onto this team. I'm just a lowly calculator. You could have gotten engineers worth twice my weight.
Look, if I'm going to do this thing, I need Esther Roberts there. End of story.
I mean, I was top of my class, I suppose, but isn't everyone here? Weren't you?
Esther's the smartest woman I've ever met. Smarter than just about any man, too. And she's languishing in predictive mechanics basement. She's got the skills. Listen, if this does what I think it does, then you are dealing with a whole new type of physics that nobody's ever seen before. If you want me to build whatever this is, no problem. But you need Esther there to do the math. I need her.
Jack Wyatt? Oh, of course I know him. Worked together on just about everything in grad school. We joined up here at the same time. Haven't seen him much since. He's some hotshot now, right?
I am not doing this without her. But trust me, I am doing you a favor.
Yeah, I'm in. Can you get me a lab with Windows this time?
It's good to see you again, Director Donovan. I didn't know you were back in town. How did the rainbow test turn out?
I'm sorry if I'm curt, but I'm a bit busy today.
All right, what can I do for you, sir?
You're doing some really good work here, but...
Thank you. We're getting more precise every day.
And I don't want to get in the way of your progress.
Well, that's why you brought us all in, because we're the best at what we do.
Exactly, but...
And I really appreciate the freedoms you've given us here. I know some things need to stay classified and compartmentalized, but I appreciate the chance to collaborate with experts in fields I only barely understand. Practically the whole town has a hand in the project.
Anthony, can I finish?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. It's just... I know I'm not going to like what you have to tell me. You wouldn't have brought me in like this if it wasn't bad news.
We're cutting funding to the Predictive Algorithms Project.
By how much?
It's being reclassified as a Tier 3 project.
Tier 3? Director Donovan, sir, I know we're taking a bit longer than our original estimates, but we're a Tier 1 project. Hell, we are the Tier 1 project. This is the cornerstone of ODAR operations.
I'm sorry. We're handing off the top tier to something new.
Something new? Something new since last week?
I'm afraid so. I'll need a list of non-essential personnel on my desk by Wednesday.
Non-essential? You're not just cutting our funding, you're firing people too.
Actually, you're firing them.
You can't do that. These people signed a contract with the United States government that they'd be employed here until the end of the war. We've been working on this for an entire year!
The terms of the agreement have changed. Contracts can be terminated. Think of it as sending troops home early.
They'll have to move again. Find new jobs. What are they supposed to put on their resume? Worked 1941 to 1943 at the organization Too Secret to Know, don't tell anybody?
We'll make sure they can get any job they might want. Honestly, Anthony, they probably don't even need our help. Your boys are the best of the best, and they'll land on their feet. But we will charge them for treason, espionage, and conspiracy to murder bald eagles if they talk to anyone, just as we would now.
What in God's name did you find in Philadelphia that could justify this?
A new researcher brought us a new project.
Oh, and he's replacing me.
She is replacing you.
I'm being ousted by a woman? Are you kidding me?
She gave us the answer.
What are you talking about?
What she's made. It will end the war. And it will end every other war before they even happen.
That's what you said about predictive algorithms.
I was wrong, Anthony. What you have is an idea. What I have now is a fact. Reality. Something I can hold in my hands. Something I can point to and say, this is the answer to all our problems. Every threat that our country will ever face. All you can give me is possibilities.
But you're not scrapping the project entirely.
Never have a plan without a backup plan. Prepare for every eventuality. Isn't that what you're going to help us do?
This doesn't have to be all bad. I really do want to figure out how I got here, and more than anything, maybe figure out how to get home. I just wish I had a choice in the matter. As long as this project is a secret, he'll keep who I am a secret at all costs, which means I've got to keep who I am a secret too. Which I guess might be okay. In the end, I'm always going to do the work. And Donovan's organization seems like the best way to do it. I mean, there's so much more to the universe than I ever understood before. And I can't wait to figure it all out. I mean, so long as this experiment is running, let's treat it like one. Subject 1. Dr. Sally Virginia Grissom, age 27, born February 19th, 19 in Adams County, Iowa. Graduated 20 with a doctorate in theoretical physics from MIT. Resident physicist, SSC, for 2 years. Graduated 2014 with a doctorate in theoretical physics from MIT. Resident physicist, SSC, for 2 years. No, that sounds too formal, too melodramatic. Let me start over. My name is Sally Grissom, and I think I accidentally invented time travel. Wow. Hold on, this is really dumb. I hate all of this. I don't want to be here. I don't want to live in some secret town in the middle of the desert. I don't want to live in the 1940s. I just want to go home. I want to worry that I left the oven on. I want to get stuck in traffic. I want to stand paralyzed in the grocery store aisle, unable to tell the difference between Cheerios and the generic brand. I want my life back. And I want to charge my goddamn phone. The rub of it is, I'm not even sure I can get home. Not unless I take the long way. Just in case anyone from my time finds this and you're wondering where I've gone, this is where I am. If you're looking, I'm not saying don't try to find me, but I will say that the odds are against you, and I hope you don't mind if I take a crack at getting home myself. I'm a smart girl. I'll figure it out.
Ars Paradoxica is created by Daniel Manning and Misha Stanton. Episode 1, Hypothesis, was written by Daniel Manning and Misha Stanton and produced by Misha Stanton. It features Kristen DiMercurio as Sally Grissom, Ren Beeler as Chet Wickman, Rob Slotnick as Bill Donovan, Robin Gabrielli as Anthony Partridge, Katie Speed as Esther Roberts,
Hi. This is the thing, the diary thing. January 17th, 1944. It's Monday, and it's damn cold. There's no heat in my house. I've asked to put in a work order, but it seems like every GI is off on other assignments. It always seems like there's a swarm of them buzzing about, but never when you actually need them. I scrounged up a couple of blankets from the infirmary, but I can only wrap myself so thickly and still work. My first few months here have been decidedly miserable. Sure, when I first got here, I was welcomed with open arms, but ever since the second week or so, I could feel myself getting frozen out. Pun definitely not intended. I mean, I have never seen a more hostile group of people in my life. Not a one of them will speak to me unless under a direct order. My lab assistants spend a single day with me, speak in the tersest of tones, and then refuse to come in the next day. The room full of men and women that are so far removed from any concept I have of a computer I barely understand glare at me, just stare me down until I run from the room. Even civilians stop conversing when I enter a room. And it's not like there's no social life here. There is. The other people, they throw dinner parties, they drink, they dance, and I don't. I'm left out in the cold. The pun's still not intended. I swear, it's like high school all over again. At first, I thought that they were under orders not to speak to me. It would have been a little cruel, trapped living as a pariah in a secret desert town of geniuses. But, I mean, I'm from the future. I guess I can understand that. You know, for the sake of avoiding paradoxes, sure. Keep me isolated. For the integrity of the universe and so on. But a few weeks ago, I just kind of snapped. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I stormed into the director's office. Well, stormed into the administration building and demanded to be escorted to the director's office by the receptionist. She told me he wouldn't be back for another 3 days, so I left and came back. She gave me directions. Then I demanded that the big stoic guys guarding his door let me in, and then I stormed into the director's office. I was all set to start yelling at him for the injustice, for the indignity of keeping me in solitary confinement, but he hadn't given any order. Turns out everyone just hates me. Yep, exactly like high school. All these people here, I feel like they don't trust me. They don't know where I'm from, but they notice that something's off about me. It's something deep in their unconscious, I guess. I'm uncanny to them. And that wards off any attempt at making living here with people a little more bearable. And because I'm left all alone, there is absolutely nothing for me to do here. I know I'm not in 20 anymore, but it is just so paralyzingly boring during the hours that I'm not at work. Day in, day out, it's the same. Work, crunch numbers, fiddle with the machine, talk to barely anyone, come home, eat, slump down in my room at the end of the day and try to pretend that the radio in the corner of my bedroom fills in for the panoply of entertainment so vast it would make these Neanderthals' heads spin. Now all I have are the same 4 or 5 staticky AM stations that we get here, and none of them are ever clear enough to hear much. There's too much electromagnetic interference from the experiments in town. Seriously, any of you from the 40s listening to this wouldn't believe what we've got. It might as well be magic. God damn, I miss the internet. At least the work is keeping me sane, but only barely. The technology in 1944 is pretty rudimentary, all things considered. And the standard model that I'm working from won't even be theorized for another 20 years or so. But the laws governing the universe haven't changed, so I guess it's all the same. Well, I'm pretty sure that they haven't changed. Actually, the whole laws governing the universe thing is pretty up in the air right now. I suppose we'll find out today. The test of the newly spec'd machine, which we've been calling the timepiece, is in a little less than 5 hours. After 3 long, lonely months, I finally feel ready. The first phase is supposed to chart tachyon measurements, look for more disturbances of space-time like the one I wrote in on. The idea behind the whole thing is... What is that? What? Oh my god! Yeah? Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So, something just knocked out the power in my room. It looks like the whole town, too. I think whatever it was gave off a weird electromagnetic pulse that fried the spool I was just using. I tried listening to it, and all I got was this, like... But we shield all of our equipment lockers with copper mesh, and there was a spare spool or 2 in there. Is it weird that the first thing I did was replace the wire spool on my personal audio recorder? Nah, I'm probably fine. It's just been a while since I spoke to anyone else, I guess. There's still a weird buzz on this one, though. I wonder which project caused this.
Dr. Grissom?
Yeah?
You're needed down by the computing pavilion.
Me? Are you sure?
Very sure, ma'am. The director asked for you personally. You will get instructions when you arrive. He's assembling a team to figure it out.
A team, huh? Find a lot of volunteers for that one?
I'm not sure, ma'am. I was sent to collect you.
Can I bring my recorder?
I'm sorry, what?
This thing. Can I bring it with me? I've got an idea.
I guess, if you want to lug it all the way over there.
Then hold on. Let me grab a few other things. Should be good to go. See, this will send the audio signal through the microphone onto the tape, routed through this device here, and back through to my headphones. It should amplify the EM distortion the closer we get to the disruption. Like a metal detector.
Yes, fine, that's great. We should get going if we want to stay ahead of it.
Well, say hi first.
What do you mean, say hi?
Into the microphone. Say hi. It's like like radio. Come on, do it.
Hi?
And who are we talking to?
Do we really have to do this?
Come on, it's for the record.
Fine, whatever. This is Anthony Partridge, mathematician for the Office of Developed Anomalous Resources. We're looking for an electromagnetic anomaly in the town of Polvo, New Mexico. And we're doing it with a souped-up tape recorder and a pair of headphones that make you look like an alien from Flash Gordon. Are we good? Can we get going now, please?
Yes, fine, okay. Let's go.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was just joking around.
Can't believe I volunteered to babysit you.
Hey, man, watch it. I can take care of myself. Done as much so far. I'm just trying to be nice.
Oh, sure, you're the girl with the silver spoon. Refocused our whole operation the minute you got here. I bet you caused this whatever it is.
Hey, buddy, do you work here?
What? What an idiotic question. Of course I work here.
Because for the past 3 months, I've been working alone on the most complex machine anyone in this world has ever seen, and not once did you lift a finger to help me. No one did. You all shut me out like a goddamn leper, so even if this was me, please excuse me for making one mistake while I am up to my elbows in the primordial fucking forces of the universe.
Come on, the last Pulse sighting was up this way.
What in the hell did I do to you all anyway? I am only ever trying to be nice. What could I have possibly done to deserve the entire town giving me the silent treatment?
Come on.
No, I'm serious. You must know. You volunteered for this little scavenger hunt. You know, you're the first person to voluntarily stand next to me since the first week I got here. And even you treat me like I ran over your dog backing out of the driveway. Why?
It's because the minute you got here, the director threw out half our projects. We had to start from scratch. A year and a half of work just out the window.
Oh. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Some people weren't necessary to the new project structure, so they lost their jobs. And if you're not working, you gotta leave the town. A lot of good people had to uproot their families. One still in town lost a lot of good friends. They won't be able to speak to them until after the war's over, at least. So forgive us for having a little resentment. And you trying to be nice? Just joking around? It's rude. It's just damn rude.
I didn't know.
What do you mean you didn't know? You came in straight from the director's orders. You had to know what bringing your work in here would do.
The way I joined the project, it's complicated.
Complicated? What do you mean complicated?
Well, there it is. I hear it.
Well, I don't see anything. The lights are still on in these buildings. We should be...
It's this way. It's weak, but it sounds just like the pulse that came through my house. I'm gonna follow it. Are you coming?
I guess so.
So, what were you working on?
I was in charge of a team developing an algorithm for predicting systems through an application of quantum mechanics.
You were trying to predict the future based on different choices and math?
Just in a well-educated guess sort of way. It's not like you asked a formula about what you're going to have for breakfast tomorrow or what color shoes you were wearing when you met your husband. More like which countries are likely to be at war in 100 years.
How close did you get?
That's classified.
Okay, but come on. What's the least classified thing you could predict?
Well, we predicted we'd have a polio vaccine by the end of the decade.
Wow, really? That's great. Shame for FDR, though.
What do you mean?
Because he had... never mind.
Well, when you arrived, the director shut down the project. We assumed that you had come up with a better algorithm.
Well, I definitely see how my machine might supplant what you were doing, but I didn't know.
Listen, I've been here for a few years. I know the rules. What the director says, goes. But I don't have to be happy about it.
You don't have to take it out on me.
I'm allowed to be resentful of the girl that's displacing me.
I didn't mean to displace you. I'm not trying to displace anyone. I just took a job, man.
What? You just took a job? You don't just take a job at this place, waltz into Bill Donovan's office and ask if they're accepting resumes. No one makes it to Polvo by accident. Where are you from? Where did you go to college?
MIT.
I've had my eye on every kid in that school with a twinkle in his eye for the past 5 years. When did you graduate?
24... or...
1924?
Uh-huh.
You received your PhD 19 years ago.
Can this wait till later? I've got something.
By something, do you mean a keen ability to lie? Because I got news for you.
No, I think the disruption is moving.
What are you talking about? Give me those. All right. What am I supposed to be listening for?
It's very slow, but you can see that even if you're not moving, there's still an almost imperceptible Doppler shift on the signal. I'm going to boost the levels here to amplify the interfering signal.
Whoa! Was that you? Let it go! That wasn't me! I didn't do anything! It's growing!
Damn, you're right. It's moving. Actually, I think that... Do you have some extra paper? How about a map? And I need you to boost the clarity of the signal.
You have something for this?
As a matter of fact, I do. Last May, everyone here got into really esoteric forms of radar detection, and I was working on this targeted broadcast identifier that I could repurpose to track a similar signal.
So if you overlay that vector with the campus, it looks like the disruption is moving south-southwesterly, and it's heading right towards Site 2.
That's predictably terrible.
Just perfect. My machine is testing there in just a few hours. Damn it, what am I gonna do?
Well, it's moving slowly enough that we could briskly amble over to the test site and still beat the disruption there by a matter of hours. If it's some kind of weapon, I think we could figure out some way to disarm it. Has anyone actually seen anything?
I think everyone else is trying to get the town back online. And the few that aren't are collecting data from as far away as possible. We're not far now, though. It should be near the Grant Park playground. You mind babysitting me a little while longer?
Let's see where this goes, at least.
Off we go.
At the tone, the time will be 60, 32.
Seeing this playground without children is just unsettling. Are you picking up anything?
Huh.
What's it doing?
That's the weird part. It's gone.
What do you mean it's gone?
When we walked onto the blacktop, it just stopped.
What happened? Did you see anything?
I don't think so. Hold on. Let me try something. Yep. This is it. This must be the eye of the storm.
So we're dealing with the invisible. Do you believe in ghosts, Sally?
Not really. I don't have much belief in anything I can't prove.
I had a grandmother who claimed she specialized in the occult. Used to read our palms every Christmas to tell our fortunes for the coming year. So I'm sure she'd be breaking out the candles and asking us to join hands by now.
And you? What do you think?
I think that spirits of the dead probably have more pressing matters than moving rocking chairs around.
Then I guess we've ruled out ghosts.
I'm glad that's marked off the list.
So are things ever straightforward around here?
There was a month in 41 where there wasn't much going on. I was bored out of my skull. At least this thing is giving us plenty of notice. It's moving at about 0.88 miles per hour, so we've still got a few hours before it gets to the test site.
Wait. When is it supposed to get there?
About 3 p.m. this afternoon, if it keeps moving at the same rate.
Yep. Nope. No. This is nonsense. Nope. I'm done.
What are you babbling about?
The test today. We're cycling field generators. The schedule puts boot up at 1500 hours on the dot.
So what are you suggesting? Whoever sent the disturbance wants to sabotage the test?
Partridge, I don't think the disruption was a sabotage. I think I'm getting screwed by causality again.
Do you ever make sense?
I think it's a side effect.
Of what?
The timepiece prototype. I think it's residue left over from the test.
What is that supposed to mean?
The prototype gives off large amounts of electromagnetic radiation when it's activated. If something goes wrong this afternoon, it's conceivable that the disturbance isn't moving towards the test site, it's moving away from it. But backwards?
That's complete and utter hogwash. The test hasn't even happened yet. How are we supposed to... Sally, what exactly is your machine supposed to...
Can you show me the map you plotted the disruption on?
This one?
Can you extrapolate it? Draw a line across the whole map, as far as you can go.
Well, by the looks of it, it traces a line right across here, goes right through Philadelphia, near Cincinnati. I wonder if they've experienced any strange phenomena like this.
God damn it.
You've got something you're not telling me, and I'm getting real sick of it.
We've got some real cutting-edge technology now. Something new.
How wonderful for you, but that doesn't explain how something that goes wrong later makes our lives difficult now. You might have fancy machines, but you're not magic. What's your secret? What's in Philadelphia? What the hell are you working on? Just tell me!
It's classified, and you wouldn't believe me even if I told you.
Try me!
It's a time machine I brought with me from the future.
Really?
If I was lying, would I really pick something so ridiculous?
Well, the director wouldn't need a predictive algorithm if he could just see history firsthand, I guess.
Like I said, I didn't know.
And you think what? Your test exploded backwards through time?
Well, it broke when I got here, and wasn't designed for time travel in the first place. I had to rebuild it with contemporary parts, so maybe something goes wrong with the test. The capacitors overload and send a burst of energy radiating out from the space-time event. The wave of tachyons would travel out in both directions in time, and half of them would be drawn back through time towards the Project Rainbow test back in October.
Fine, then. Great. So I guess cause and effect work backwards now.
I'm still figuring that one out.
So our problem should be solved. Right? If we just don't turn on the machine today, the disruption won't have existed in the first place.
Yeah, but then what happens to us, right now? If we don't turn on the machine today, we'd have no reason to be out here deciding not to turn on the machine today.
Paradox.
I can't change things. If I change the past in the slightest, who knows what would happen to my future? So, are we doomed? Is this, fated to happen now? What do we do?
Well, there's two ways I see it. Either you can change what's coming, or you can't.
Helpful.
If you can't, then we're screwed either way. But what happens if you don't turn on that machine this afternoon?
You know, I really don't know. Either I fade out of existence, or everyone dies, or the whole universe ceases to exist.
Sounds to me like you're caught standing in both lanes of traffic.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Well, is there a chance nothing would happen?
What do you mean, nothing would happen? Everything has to happen.
What if paradoxes, causes and effects, just don't matter? Tonic water is disgusting and gin is for drunks, but put them together and you get something amazing.
But then how would this happen?
Well, then how would any of this happen? You came from the future, doll. You already started to change things. Your molecules displaced the air around you. You ate food that wouldn't have been eaten. Hell, you made me lose my job.
Sorry about that, by the way.
It's all right, but if you're looking for a good reason to change the future, you're plumb out of luck. It's already happened.
So right now, here, this is me deciding. I'm going to cancel the test. The machine won't turn on.
You hear that, universe? I don't care about your laws of causality. Do your worst.
I don't think the universe can hear you.
Then I guess I'm not gonna die. At least, not today.
Don't fret, everyone dies eventually.
When you can travel in time, it just seems a lot closer. I guess we should call the director. He'll have to cook up a pretty good story.
He won't need to. It's too dangerous to carry out a test with all this radiation around the base. It happens a lot more than you might think. He'll reschedule it for some time next week. Gives you time to fix your machine.
By the way, don't tell anybody about me being from the future.
Well, I was just about to call up the Polvo Gazette.
I'm serious. I can't let a secret like that leak. Director's orders.
Then why'd you tell me?
I needed to tell someone. Poor judgment call, mostly, but I feel a lot better. So, can we keep this between us?
Sure. And I'll talk to the town about lightening up on you. You'll need the help to analyze all this new data by next week.
You have no idea how much I would appreciate that.
So, the director knows that you're from the future, I mean?
How else do you think I got here?
Her name is Erin, and she talks.
3 o'clock on the nose. Any minute now.
Want a beer?
Yes, please.
So, what should I be looking at?
The machine, I guess.
That's your timepiece?
This is it, yeah. The disruption should be moving through the east wall over there right about now.
And you turned off all the power?
Right before I unplugged the machine from absolutely everything else. If something happens, there's no way it could be us. I should have grabbed goggles, but I'm sure we'll be fine.
I've got a camera rolling, and I grabbed a Geiger counter, too. I was concerned about him getting fried, but I couldn't resist the chance at some damn good data.
Say whatever happens destroys the lab. Won't we get in trouble for destroying equipment or everything?
Sally, this is what we're here for. If we're doing good work, they'll replace anything that gets destroyed.
So what, you just have infinite money?
Not quite. It's all the taxpayers' money, but the general always replaces what gets broken, gets us what we need.
Outside of the occasional electromagnetic catastrophe, it sounds like a scientist's paradise.
Not quite.
I mean, you could speed things up by replacing the calculator girls with a couple of transistors, but all things considered, it ain't half bad.
You know, it's just... You see a lot of military trucks drive in and out, but not a lot of civilians.
The director's got my number. I'm probably stuck here more than you are. Which means, by that logic, you're also stuck here with me. Welcome to my hell.
Did everything just get redder?
Here it comes. Okay, watch this.
That was it?
That was it. 15:02 by my watch.
Did you know that would happen?
The blue flash? Not a clue.
Come on, what were you expecting?
I had even money on mechanical failure and spontaneous bear attack.
Shame no one was around to see it.
We were around to see it. We saw it, so it happened. I think that's enough. Diary of Sally Grissom, January 17th, 1944. It's past midnight, so I guess it's the 18th. My regular entry for today was destroyed, so I'm redoing it. I couldn't make anything out of that old tape, but I'll keep it in the file anyway. Maybe someone someday can figure it out. This one is going to be short, because I've had a long day and I'm exhausted. I'm nursing what I think is the single most wicked headache humankind has ever known. So, here's what I'll say. I made a decision today to not do something. I acted through inaction, and I think I changed history? I feel like I'm breaking some kind of rule set for the universe, but nothing of consequence has happened yet. I didn't fade away. I didn't disappear. Does that mean I've made the right choice? I've got no idea what making the right choice even means anymore. Who knows? Maybe history doesn't care that I'm in it now. I don't really know yet. So, I need to do this for myself. Make decisions like I could possibly know what I'm doing, which I can't. I can't be bothered with what the universe wants to happen. And if we're all still here in the morning, then maybe I was right.
Ars Paradoxica is created by Daniel Manning and Misha Stanton. Episode 2, Blackout, features Kristen DiMercurio as Sally Grissom, with Robin Gabrielli, and additional vocal talent provided by Isabel Atkinson. Special thanks to our content director, Cheryl Rayfuse, as well as Mark Rizzo and Dylan Winter. Visit our website, arsparadoxica.com, to subscribe to our newsletter, and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. If it's Ars Paradoxica, it's probably us. Ars Paradoxica is brought to you by the internet. It's where you get the Google.
Blue. Blue. 8. 12. 2. 20. 16. 23. 13. 6. 5. 3. 9. 15. 22. 5. 3. 11. 13. 14. 16. 16. 1. 26. 22. 16. 3. 19. 8. 7. 21. 13. 6. 19. The weather in Tulsa today is sunny.
Previously on Ars Paradoxica.
My name is Sally Grissom, and I think I accidentally invented time travel.
We are rapidly approaching the town of Polvo, New Mexico.
You're the girl with the silver spoon. Refocused our whole operation the minute you got here. If you're looking for a good reason to change the future, you're plumb out of luck. It's already happened.
You see, this town, the work that's done here, the people that live here, even the babies that are born here, it's all classified on a level so deep, barely a handful of men in the entire country know it even exists.
And how long will I be kept there?
Win the war for us, and then we'll talk.
The system we're proposing, it generates a field that negates the effects of what I'm calling the Grissom mechanism. Essentially, masses within the field localized to a spatially consistent region are pulled along a time-like curve towards regions of space-time with a high supersymmetric density. Project Rainbow inadvertently created
Sally.
such a region by
Sally.
catalyzing a singularity-like reaction
Sally.
with particles
Sa-
present.
Sally!
Is something wrong?
You're doing it again. You've got more syllables than a silk-tongued thesaurus. I can't understand a word you're saying.
With all due respect, Director Donovan, it's a fairly simple concept. The experiment in Philadelphia 2 years ago created a Lorentzian manifold that is able to...
A Lorentzian manifold that is able to simulate a pseudo-time-like curve that breaks the Cauchy horizon, effectively creating a causal structure that...
Stop. All of you stop. No one can understand what in Christ's name any of you are saying. It's all just babble. This isn't going to fly at the Oversight Committee inspection next week. They're coming from Manhattan, and I'm not going to be upstaged by that boom town.
I've heard them calling it Judgment Day in the rec hall.
They shouldn't. That's a habit I'd like you all to break. Demonizing the Oversight Committee doesn't do you any favors.
Well, technically, we're not demonizing them, we're deifying them.
You're not as clever as you think you are, and you underestimate the capacity of the men you're going to be speaking to. They are not as easily stunned by playing hot potato with journeyman rhetoric.
You want us to dumb down the science?
I want you to make it something I can understand without a goddamn PhD. And don't call it the Grissom mechanism. You sound delusional.
It's not like we have the time to teach an advanced course on the physics of relativity. The work we're doing here is at the forefront of scientific understanding. If you think it's difficult to understand, have empathy for we who have to explain it all.
We wouldn't know half this stuff if it weren't for Dr. Grissom's research.
You got pretty far without my research.
Director Donovan, we need the committee to renew our budget. We need continued operational redundancy. I mean, we only have one inhibitor array. What if it breaks? What if it gets zapped back to the Eldridge? Dr. Grissom's prototype is the only thing like it in all of creation. And, Doctor, as an aside, what could possibly have inspired you to junk every iteration of this device before we started working for you?
I wanted a clean start.
I read the reports every week, and I still barely understand what you people are doing. I need you to relate to people.
We're trying, Bill. We really are, but they have to meet us at least halfway. We've got a ton of information that it took us years to understand, and now we're just supposed to condense all of that work into a bite-sized morsel for these fat cats to feed on?
I'm sorry, Donovan. Could I just get something clarified, please?
What's that, Doctor?
You aren't talking about Manhattan, the island, are you?
I need you to tell me everything you know. All of it. Right now.
I didn't realize. That's happening soon?
Tell me. How much do you know from... What do you know?
I can't say anything. You know I can't. I've given you the speech enough times before.
What are you both talking about?
It's classified.
I'll tell you when you're older.
If you know about Manhattan, then you should know telling me won't stop any of it. It's too big now. You can get off your soapbox.
Soapbox? We're talking about... Trinity is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about, Donovan. What you think you know doesn't even compare with what I've seen. You can't even fathom what I know. Trinity might just be the worst thing we've ever done. As a species.
Just tell me. Does it end the war?
Sure. Fine. Yeah. It ends the war. It ends your whole preconception of war. It turns war from a boxing match into a chess game, feigning stalemate from now until the end of time. You should feel right at home.
So, should we...
Just get out.
All right,
Yeah, we
yeah,
should- we
sure,
should-
fine.
we-
I'll
we
just
should
go
probably
run another...
Diary of Sally Grissom, July 9th, 1945. I'm stuck. Donovan wants me to design a practical demonstration of the timepiece, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I've been banging my head against a wall for hours, but nothing's tumbled out. It was relatively simple to work out the principles of pulling objects to the right time in the same place. Everything gets pulled back to Philadelphia in 1943. But if you relate the rate of spatial acceleration to the Earth's motion and stop going backwards before you get to the Eldridge, you can land at a precise time. But for now, that's only in theory. In practice, it's more difficult to literally perceive it, and immeasurably more difficult to explain it to someone else. It's a problem of light cones and timelines. Whatever you send back would just disappear from my perspective. I don't receive an orange I send myself today because I never did yesterday.
Of course, in some different version of the timeline, I did receive the orange. But it's not part of my history. It's not like you could track that. Problem of light cones and timelines. Whatever you send back disappears, and it's a crapshoot whether you'll be around to see something arrive. Like an orange appears on my desk, right? What do? Do I just wait a day and send it back to myself? That would just loop back on itself, again and again, aging a day at a time until the orange shrivels into dust. If I get a new orange to send back, do I have to make sure it's the same orange, but a day younger? How do I know I'll make the same choice of fruit? How do I know there isn't some poor Sally Grissom out there, somewhere among the blind eternities, who wakes up one day, drowning in a sea of oranges? So, you see the problem. I've got Roberts and Wyatt already working overtime to get a new prototype running before Judgment Day, and it's unfair to throw them on other impossible tasks, so I've got to do this one myself. I need a break from this.
Sally, you've got to lighten up. Judgment Day isn't going to kill you.
Oh, thank goodness. I've been breaking my back over this for months.
No, that's about right. I've been through rigmarole like this before. It's terrible. It's just not as bad as it looks.
Oh, what a relief. Thank you. You should give motivational speeches. Partridge, it's not just that I have to show off something impossible. I have to do it in front of my boss, the head of the OSS, the director of strategic sciences, and the goddamn president.
Who?
You know, the oversight committee. Donovan, Leslie Groves, Dwight Eisenhower.
You mean General Eisenhower?
Yes, I meant that. That is what I meant.
Oh, come on, Sally. You're a horrendous liar. You know something. Just spill it.
No, No, what? No, come on. Why would
Does Ike become president?
You're crazy. No, you're crazy, man. No.
He does, doesn't he?
Well, I don't even know. It's not what we're talking about.
You know, you ought to put that sort of slip up to work. You could make a fortune gambling on horse races or something.
I didn't think to bring a sports almanac with me.
Tell me again, what's impossible about this experiment?
You just can't observe it. Either you live in a world where you didn't receive the item you send, which makes the machine look defective, or you live in a world where you did, which just looks like sleight of hand.
Why not just send someone back an hour or so and have them come report? Guess a number written down on a piece of paper after the fact or something.
Well, it's all about relativity, isn't it? The only reference frame that lets you observe the journey is the traveler. From an observer's point of view, either you haven't changed anything, or the change was always a part of history. So the only way to show the committee how the machine works is to make them the subjects as well. And I don't want to deal with Bill Donovan's wife asking why her husband has vanished from the face of existence. That, or I might as well just do a parlor trick. I'm just stuck.
It sounds like you could use a vacation. How many days before your head's on the chopping block?
5 days until Judgment Day. 6 until I'm driven out of town in an unmarked black van.
Walking away for a while is the best thing you can do now. Get some fresh air. Get your head on straight.
I don't think my arrangement with Donovan gives me any vacation days.
Who says the boss has to know? We'll make it like a company road trip. I'll bring Helen, and we should bring our staff along. My man Quentin Barlow has had his head in the trenches for months now, and I'm sure Esther and Jack could use some sun.
Barlow? The quiet one who follows you around the lab like a studious puppy dog?
He may be quiet, but he pulls his weight. Probably more than he should.
Partridge, if all of us ran away in the middle of Hell Week, the project would completely run out of time. Which is just as ironic as it sounds.
Well, you could always use the timepiece, go back a few days, pick up where you left off.
I don't even know why I came to you for help.
Sally, trust me. You want to take a breather, right here. You're stuck because you're in too deep. You all are. I want the three of you in front of my house at 07:30 tomorrow morning. We're going on vacation, and you don't get any say in the matter.
Dr. Partridge, you are aware that Judgment Day is in 4 days' time?
I tried to tell him you all wouldn't want to go.
She successfully told me, and then I successfully ignored her. This is what you all need, and that's the last word.
It's irresponsible to abandon the timepiece presentation like this. We just don't have the time.
Listen, Roberts. Partridge is right. You'll be dead by Christmas if we keep working at this rate. Are you going to work yourself into an early grave, or are you going to get in the car?
Where are we going, anyway?
Las Vegas, Nevada. A couple of days of card games and drinking will do you all a world of good.
Vegas? For what? Craps and call girls? No thank you.
Actually, that sort of business isn't even legal in Nevada anymore. Roosevelt clamped down on it a few years back after the base opened.
Glad to know Wyatt's an expert on Nevadan prostitution law.
I'm not the expert. My cousin is a mechanic down there.
Oh, sure, your cousin is the expert.
Are you calling me a pervert, pal?
Anthony, stop.
All right, Jack, I'm just yanking your chain.
Dr. Partridge, are you sure this is a good idea? I think I might rather just stay home for the weekend.
Not a chance, my friend.
Am I the only one who's never heard him speak before?
Come on, guys. I know we're in crunch time here, but there's no sense driving ourselves crazy over this. Let's drive to Vegas instead.
All right, but I'm not a pervert.
Duly noted, Wyatt. What about the rest of you?
Well, I guess there's no sense in staying behind if I'm the only one working.
Brilliant.
So, what's the plan?
Hand me that blanket.
Plan? What do we need a plan for?
Didn't you know? Dr. Grissom's not allowed out of town.
What? Wait, that's ridiculous. Why?
Just be cool.
No,
Dr. Grissom,
move your legs.
Ow!
Robert, move your legs.
What are you doing?
Good grief. Good morning, Dr. Partridge. Headed off-site?
Yes, sir. Taking some measurements out on the mesa. The wife packed a picnic.
Good morning, officer.
Morning, ma'am. Can you all show me your passes, please?
Here you go.
Ow! Don't kick!
Seems a little, cramped in there.
Yeah, all the equipment in here sure does make for a tight fit.
Everything's in order. You have a nice day, and, be careful now.
Thanks. You have a good one.
Smooth, everyone. Real smooth.
Dr. Grissom, may I ask you about something?
Shoot.
What's Manhattan?
An island in New York. Aren't you from there?
The first American ship to make an authorized visit to Tokyo Bay.
Wait, really?
The centennial is this year. A lot can happen in 100 years of diplomatic relations.
And it's called the Manhattan. Huh.
Dr. Grissom, you know what I'm referring to. When you and Director Donovan were talking, Manhattan and Trinity.
They're code words.
Code words you shouldn't know about, by the way. Curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah, but you guys know what it is. I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm just curious.
You know how we're working on a cross-your-heart top-secret science project? So are they. Manhattan is like us. Trinity is their timepiece.
They're building a gadget like ours, something for the war?
Not quite. It's a little more direct than ours.
And I'm still not exactly sure what Trinity is. I only have a rough hypothesis because I've kept my ear firmly clamped to the ground. And it's my job to figure out what people will do next.
So then what is it? You said something about a deterrent, changing war from a boxing match to a game of chess?
Something like that.
You're not going to tell her, are you?
Not a chance. She'll find out soon enough.
How could you possibly believe that?
It's spelled out in the text, clear as day.
Irrefutable evidence.
But he can fly.
So what?
So what? Jay Garrick has to run everywhere. Do you know how much friction that builds?
We're not talking about flying.
We might as well be. Superman is faster than a speeding bullet.
So is the Flash.
Superman gets his powers from the yellow sun's radiation. The Flash got his powers from what? Heavy water?
Hard water?
Hard water. That's ridiculous. He got kind of wet and can run fast? Please.
Well, what if they were running the race on a kryptonite track?
Irrelevant. The stuff they make up on the radio show doesn't count. Non-canonical.
In a land race between the Flash and Superman, the Flash would win.
Not a chance.
The Flash can catch bullets.
Superman doesn't need to. They just bounce right off him. Come on, Superman can fly faster than the speed of light.
No, he can't.
What are you talking about?
Never mind.
Superman is just a dope in a cape wearing his underwear on the outside.
Jay Garrick wears a dumb helmet.
You take that back.
Oh, I love this one. Till the wells run dry and each mountain disappears, I'll be there for you to care for you through laughter and through tears. So take my heart in sweet surrender say that I'm the one you love and live for. Till the end of time.
Helen, that was beautiful.
You really think so?
It's absolutely sweltering in here. How could they possibly be asleep?
I think unconsciousness is the saner choice in this heat.
How long have we been driving?
Better part of 9 hours, just another hour or so to go.
How long?
That's why we left so early this morning, honey. I wanted to make sure we got there before sundown.
What possible benefit could the 6 of us get out of some resort town?
Esther, have you ever been to an amusement park?
I went to Coney Island a couple of times when I was a kid.
When I was in college, I had this one midterm that was kicking my ass, some report on orbital motion, and I just couldn't finish it. I worked for 4 solid days, and by the end, I couldn't even force my fingers to write it. The deadline was breathing down my neck, I was losing sleep, and then, on top of that, I had to leave town for Thanksgiving and visit my grandma in Pennsylvania. I didn't want to go. I wanted to finish that report, but my pop would have beat me halfway to Bethlehem if I didn't show up. And she lived right near to this amusement park. Dorney Park, I think. And my grandma, being the kind-hearted old lady she was, saw me moping and drove me over there to spend the day.
And when you went, you rode on some roller coaster and had the stroke of genius you needed to finish the report?
Not quite, but I did have a fun day. Not a care in the world. All my worries melted away, did wonders for my mental health.
So what does this have to do with the price of peas in Duluth?
Well, Grandma Partridge was a wonderful woman, but it was at the end of her life, and she had grown a bit forgetful.
Oh, she forgot you?
She was supposed to pick me up at 5, but didn't come around until 8.
Oh, no.
3 hours I spent in the parking lot where the anxiety of losing valuable work time crept back.
And that's where you had your epiphany.
Esther, you're missing the point. I didn't have one. I got back to my room, sat down with my typewriter, and finished the paper. No epiphany, but the time loss forced my hand. There's no room for writer's block when the clock is ticking down on you. I didn't have time for self-doubt. I only had time to finish.
So you aced the report.
Not even close. I was a hair's breadth above failing.
You're not exactly giving me a boost of confidence here.
You see, in the end, I just didn't have enough to say about the topic. I would have failed whether I'd gone to Dorney Park that day or not. The point is that you're going to finish your timepiece presentation no matter what, because you have to. Your team knows what it's doing. You'll wake up the next day and you'll have succeeded. Or failed. And then you eat breakfast and you move on with your day. But you guys were working yourselves into an early grave. This way, you still get to live.
Must mean that you might have a better go of it at a university. Somewhere you'd be appreciated.
Helen, I don't want to talk about it right now. We're here, guys.
Here now.
What time is it?
A little bit after 11.
So this is Las Vegas, huh?
Is this not a thing people do where you're from?
No, we did. It's just different.
I'll say. There's enough neon here that it's practically daytime. It's like Times Square in the desert.
Okay, get your things, everybody. I'll check in and we'll reconvene in the morning.
He wasn't in the room when I woke up. I assumed he was out on a run or something.
I haven't seen him since we parted ways last night.
Should we send out a search party?
Wait, no. I see him stumbling towards us over there. Pretty sure he's wearing the same clothes from yesterday.
Look who decided to show up this morning. Early afternoon.
Long night.
Testing the Nevadan prostitution ban, I presume?
I decided to check out some of the slots after you all went to bed.
How much did you lose?
Actually, I won $5. It was only after the gambling did I spend $4.75 on drinks.
That's where they get you.
They also get you on the slots, on the tables, at the hotel.
This town is essentially an empty pit you're supposed to throw money into.
Oh, lighten up, ladies. This is supposed to be a fun weekend. Sometimes the pit throws money back.
I don't think it's fun paying someone to possibly give you your money back.
Or you could just have fun playing the games.
I'd rather win them.
You should play more blackjack then.
Why?
You know, basic blackjack strategy. Counting and stuff.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, man. Any of you guys have a deck of cards?
I've got one up in my room.
Come with me, guys. I am going to blow your minds with math.
Didn't we come here to avoid doing work?
21. Again. Well done, miss.
My lucky night.
To Dr. Sally Grissom, for without her crazy card algorithm, we'd be sober and broke.
Here, here.
I just showed off the numbers. It was Roberts that played the game.
But without the help of you five, I'd be drinking alone tonight.
Alone and rich.
This morning, I knew just as much as you all did about the statistical analysis of blackjack.
Not quite all of us. A bit more than me, I'd say. Just a tad.
It was pretty scintillating stuff, actually.
We should keep the card counting on the down low. Private.
I think we can each keep a secret by now.
We got a bleeding time machine in our backyard, for Christ's sake.
Watch it!
Come on, no one's spying on us.
Another round for you all?
Absolutely.
Here, take some dollars. Keep the drinks coming.
Be right back.
And they're the ones asking us if it's safe?
Could I get a
$5
sidecar,
says the whole
a dry
Southwest
martini,
goes up in
a
flames.
French 75,
And another
two
two
bitters
on the
and a
whole
gin
thing
and
not
tonic.
even working.
Coming right up.
By now, I'm not even sure that...
That's a fancy recorder you've got there.
Yeah, it's top of the line.
Use it for dictation often?
Work stuff, yeah. Excuse me.
What do you do?
I'm a physicist.
No way! Me too! Who do you work for?
The government. Out in New Mexico.
How's that going for you?
I can't really talk about it.
Okay, but how's it going?
Well, I'm on whiskey number... that many.
That bad, huh?
Sitting on a wobbly stool waiting for the end of days.
I know how you feel.
I very much doubt it. I've seen the end coming. I know what happens when the primordial energies of the universe collapse on themselves. I know there won't be any escape.
You feel like the building blocks of the universe are playthings in your hand and it's going to rip the world in two. And you wish you could go back to working in theory, to writing equations in notebooks. You wish the world would stop taking knowledge meant to better mankind and using it to kill each other. That about sum it up?
Who are you?
Like I said, I'm a physicist too.
Where did you come from?
You're in Los Alamos, right? I'm in Polvo, a couple hours south of you. Same kind of stuff you're doing, but we're with ODAR instead of ACE.
I haven't heard of it.
And no one here knows what you do, except for me. So we'll call it even.
All those people. I see their faces in my dreams. Millions of voices engulfed by roaring flame. Their blood is on my hands. Their silence weighs on me. So I'm drinking. Drinking till I'm flat on my back or the world ends. Whichever comes first.
And which one does come first?
Keep your eye on the horizon tomorrow morning and you're gonna see some serious shit. Might be the last thing you'll ever see.
I don't doubt it.
They told me we were gonna help end the war.
It'll end it. It'll change the conversation. Evil men will always do evil things, but that's on them, not you.
How do you know?
If it helps, pretend it was a lucky guess.
Here you go, sweetheart.
That's my stop.
Enjoy your drinks for however long you've got.
Quite a bit longer than you might think. Take care. Where'd they go? Guys? Guys! Diary of Sally Grissom, July 15th, 1945. It turns out that our after-dinner chat wasn't taken too kindly by the casino staff. Who would have guessed they wouldn't appreciate us loudly babbling about cheating on the floor?
You were the one who taught Esther how to count cards.
Which I guess might have been a little bit my fault. And so they kicked us out of the hotel.
Not kicked as much as literally thrown.
You know that you're not supposed to be listening to me record these, let alone giving color commentary?
We're helping.
We're helping.
You're not.
I found them outside the casino with our bags. They're ruddy with Nevadan dirt.
Nice imagery there, Virginia Woolf.
We checked into a new hotel. I hope the staff at the Last Frontier doesn't talk to the ones at the El Rancho. That's where we are now. Unfortunately, it was the last room at the inn, and the 6 of us have to share it.
Dr. Grissom talks in her sleep.
Nope, don't want to hear it. Okay, out. All of you out. Leave before I start telling this thing all your terrible secrets. Peace and quiet. Well, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do on Judgment Day. It's been a nice break, but my head's not any clearer than it was when I left. I have to literally upstage a nuclear bomb, and the timepiece just doesn't pack the same visual punch. If the committee is expecting something like the A-bomb out of us, they're going to be disappointed. Our device doesn't knock down houses, level entire towns, or light up the night sky with the power of suns. I don't know what Donovan expects me to do, save pull a rabbit out of my...
Sally?
What?
You've been requested out here.
I'm not done with my recording yet.
Dr. Grissom, this is more important. Just come outside.
What are you talking about?
Good evening, Dr. Grissom. You're under arrest for the violation of the Espionage Act.
Our chaperone is here.
Ars Paradoxica is created by Daniel Manning and Misha Stanton. Episode 3, Trinity, Act 1, features Kristen DiMercurio as Sally Grissom, with Ren Beeler, Rob Slotnick, Robin Gabrielli, Susanna Cavi, Katie Speed, and Zach Ehrlich. An additional vocal talent provided by Lee Satterwhite, Isabel Atkinson, Cameron Scott Nadler, Barry Stanton, and John French Williamson. This episode features the songs Stardust, performed by the U.S. Army Blues, and Till the End of Time, performed by Susanna Cavi. Special thanks to our content director, Cheryl Rayfuse, as well as Jake Stanton. Visit our website, arsparadoxica.com, to subscribe to our newsletter, and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. If it's Ars Paradoxica, it's probably us. Ars Paradoxica is brought to you by the Internet, a series of tubes filled with cats.
Blue. Blue. 3. 23. 2. 7. 7. 10. 2. 18. 17. 18. 5. 23. 1. 22. 11. 1. 9. 1. 22. 15. 17. 9. 7. The weather in Tulsa today is windy.
Previously on Ars Paradoxica.
My name is Sally Grissom, and I think I accidentally invented time travel.
We are rapidly approaching the town of Polvo, New Mexico.
And how long will I be kept there?
Win the war for us, and then we'll talk.
You aren't talking about Manhattan, the island, are you?
We're going on vacation, and you don't get any say in the matter.
Vegas? For what? Craps and call girls?
Good evening, Dr. Grissom. You're under arrest for the violation of the Espionage Act.
Our chaperone is here.
So, you're mad at me. I get it.
What makes you think I'm mad at you?
Well, for one, you've got the grimace of a pouty child, and two, you haven't spoken to me the entire time we've been on the road. I've tried to give you your space, but would you please say something before we get back? My men and I are here to bring you all back to Polvo on the orders of Director Donovan.
And you are...
Don't you remember me?
I'm allowed to be mad when I'm being arrested and accused of treason for taking a day off.
Only technically. I'm just bringing you back home.
Well, now that the silence is broken, what would you like to talk about?
I don't know. Last time we spoke, you were a little tied up, literally, if I remember correctly. How have you been?
You were on the Eldridge.
That's the one. Chet Wickman. Nice to see you again.
Since then, it seems like I've gone from being tied up to tied down.
You know we can't just let you leave. Anything you say, anything you do could be potentially catastrophic. You've been designated a national secret.
I know that. I know. It's just...
You're upset that I put the kibosh on your vacation.
More upset that I'm stuck working for a guy that can send his goons to scoop me up 600 miles away with the wave of his hand.
You had your fun casino night, and now it's time to go home.
You knew we left?
Of course we knew. We knew you were leaving before you were off the base. Director Donovan sent me to tail you an hour after you flew the coop.
So you just let us traipse around Vegas until you got bored? You don't have anything better to do?
Ma'am, please, don't question the chain of authority. The director didn't have to let you leave, but he likes to give his people some freedom. I figured after you had your little run-in with casino security, it was probably a good idea to extract you from the situation. Aw, Sally, I'm not just any goon. We've got a bond. I was there when you fell out of nowhere. Well, not nowhere, but is as much of nowhere as you can get. And I'm here now to get you back home safely.
I seem to remember that when we met, you were just a lowly seaman on the other side of the country.
After Philadelphia, I got a promotion, and I got relocated. Normally they upgrade your clearance when you're need to know, and it turns out what I know, what I saw, meant that I had a need to do something else. I'm not saying they threw a black bag over my head and sent me across the country, but it sure felt that way.
I'm no stranger to that myself. This isn't the first story of how my appearance in 1943 threw someone's life into turmoil. I can't believe this.
If you come along with me now, I promise you won't be in any trouble.
I definitely can't believe that.
Okay, any more trouble than you're already in. Y'all have Judgment Day on Tuesday. You don't think you could just leave in the 11th hour to go gamble with whores for the weekend?
Actually, Nevadan prostitution law?
Anthony!
I traded endless sea for endless sand, and my feet have never felt more steady. Director Donovan isn't much for a placid managerial strategy, always switches it up the second you get comfortable. It's never boring, and at least on land, there's a much lower risk of drowning.
Well, I'm not comfortable yet, so that bodes well for me.
You seemed pretty comfortable to me back there. You've got friends. You've got a house, a job. I've heard that your research on the timepiece is groundbreaking. I don't understand a lick of it myself, but I know what you're working on is streets ahead of anything else the world has ever seen.
I've got one friend and 2 lab assistants. I've got a 1-bedroom dungeon and a job that treats time off like time off the reservation. I'm a prisoner and we both know it.
There ain't no such thing as a free lunch, Sally. You should know that. All things considered, you've got it pretty good out here. You like doing all this brainy science stuff, right? Do you think any other place in the country will hire someone with a degree from the future? You'd be locked away in an asylum by now if you weren't with us. Some mad lady living on the streets of Philadelphia, insisting that she's from the future.
You're saying I'd be worse off if Donovan didn't keep me locked up?
I'm saying that Polvo gives you a salary, a house, and a good purpose.
Not one that I chose.
Maybe not. But I'll bet you a nickel it's the most fulfilling purpose you could find in 1945.
Then maybe it's 1945 that's the problem.
Well, you're the scientist, right? Can't you figure out how to get yourself home?
According to the world's foremost experts on the subject, the best way to get me back to the 21st century is to wait 5.5 decades.
Why?
The timepiece, our anchor field inhibitor array, it was supposed to levitate things, not move them back in time. And because of Rainbow, the only direction I can travel is back. It only works for one-way trips.
It's always like that with you geniuses. You try to make a hovercraft and end up with a time machine. What about building something else to move you forward?
It leverages a series of scientific mishaps to achieve a very specific result. The principles that govern its function are murky at best. Trust me, the only route home is a long wait.
That's a bum rap, Sally. I'm real sorry.
Thanks, Wickman. What happened? Diary of Sally Grissom, July 15th, 1945. Officer Wickman came to the hotel to arrest us and drive us back to Polvo. We were more than halfway there when 2 of the trucks we were driving in both hit the same sharp rock on the road. We're stuck in the middle of the desert. That's... end of entry. I don't really know.
What do you mean, staying here?
I'm sorry, ma'am. It's official protocol. No one else can even know we were out here. I've got to send the other men ahead. They'll be back for us by tomorrow morning. They can't fit all of us, so the rest will just camp in the trucks for the night.
This is preposterous.
It won't be so bad, honey. Hell, it might be nice to spend a night under the stars. We haven't done that in, 4 years? Since we were dating.
I suppose so.
I'd like to go back with the soldiers, please.
Sorry, Dr. Grissom, but I have strict orders not to let you out of my sight. Doctors Roberts, Wyatt, and Barlow, you're free to head back.
I mean, it's fine. I can stay. I can stay. No, I mean, really, I should be here. Somebody
just
should
stick
be
around
here.
if you want.
Guys, it's fine. Just because I have to stay out here doesn't mean you guys do. Go home.
Oh, well,
Okay,
if you
good.
insist,
I really-
Officer.
okay,
Blueprints
good.
that we
I'm
need to
glad
go
you
over
said
for a while.
So, anyone have any marshmallows?
That's the spirit. That should do it.
It's a beautiful night, isn't it?
It's rather dark. I was hoping to see a few more stars.
Looks like it's going to rain before the morning.
Oh, that's a shame.
Look what I found in my luggage.
Is that a bottle of wine?
Not just any bottle. A 28 Bordeaux.
Anthony, you didn't.
Didn't what?
It's the bottle from our first date.
Oh, fantastic.
She was a singer for a jazz band at a little bar in town, the Soft Note. I used to go down at her work. I never liked working at home or in a library, so I would take my books to the Soft Note and do my work there. Of course, I never ended up getting any work done when Helen got to the stage.
He would sit in a little booth in the back, hidden behind stacks of notes and books, and stare at me while I sang. I would see him and try to talk to him, but he was so shy.
So when I started working for the government, I asked her out.
He had just gotten his first government paycheck, and he took me to this incredibly lovely place. The plates, the tables, the decoration, everything about it screamed lavish.
I must have spent the whole damn paycheck on that meal.
And the whole time he was gushing about the new job. He promised me that he would change the world for the better.
And so I bought this ridiculously expensive bottle of wine and swore on it that I would use what I knew to make the world better.
It's been gathering dust in a cupboard ever since. I can't believe you brought it with you.
I was going to surprise you, but I never got the chance.
So why drink it now?
Now seems as good a time as any. We're doing the work I set out to do when I bought it. And I'm surrounded by the people involved. Officer Wickman for the government, Sally for the science, Helen for my passion.
Hear, hear.
Cheers.
I think I'm going to turn in. It's way past my bedtime. Don't stay up too late now.
We won't.
Oh, don't worry. I'm right behind you.
You look like you could use about 20 years of sleep.
It's just been a rough few days.
I've been meaning to ask you about that. When I left my project behind, I was modeling predictive systems, and now I don't have the first clue about what you're doing. What that machine of yours really does.
Well, for a while now, we've just been trying to figure that out.
You don't know how it works?
Hey, Fleming didn't know he was inventing penicillin, did he? The timepiece prototype sitting in the hangar, that's built out of my machine. The one that brought me to the past. I mean, to now.
Right. What was it before then?
I was working on this machine that would, in theory, detach bodies from the Higgs field.
The who field? Higgs?
Oh, it's... Let's just call it an anchor field. And this anchor field is what gives particles mass. I wanted a generator that would negate the anchor field.
Anti-mass? Negate gravity?
That was the idea.
How'd you get from anti-gravity to time travel?
Did you work on Project Rainbow?
Only in the planning stages. I never walked on board the Eldridge.
Well, it turns out that you guys accidentally invented the wrong thing, too.
A device that would cloak a battleship by bending light around it.
Well, that worked almost too well. It bent light around it, along with everything else. It never sustained itself long enough to cause any long-term damage, but the moment or two that the Rainbow device functioned, it created a well that massively warped the surrounding regions of space-time. And that moment proved to attract anything that happened to be untethered nearby, relativistically speaking.
And that includes you, 7 years later.
Exactly. The objects affected by the inhibitor field are drawn to the Eldridge like a magnet.
So, when an object is affected by your machine, it goes to Philadelphia in 1943?
That's the principle we're trying to exploit with the timepiece.
What if there were a way to modulate the
Modulate that acceleration to allow backwards movement to a specific time? Welcome to the conversation.
And I thought Manhattan was cutting edge. Screw the bomb, you're building a real-life H.G. Wells time machine. How do you account for planetary motion? You know, the Earth rotates around the sun at 30 clicks a second. How do you make sure you're not just zapping into empty space?
That's been our big issue for most of this. Wyatt and Robert spent their 4th of July weekend synchronizing the timepiece's acceleration with the Earth.
No wonder they're tired. God bless them.
But giving the machine a way to process those instructions has been difficult.
Too complicated?
Well, not to toot my own horn here, but where I'm from, our computers are way better at this kind of stuff. I don't mind spending an extra few hours waiting for our answers to compile, but having to send away to Harvard to get some punch cards read?
I think you might be guilty of being a poor craftsman. Craftswoman.
You've got no idea. You probably think 20 has acres of buildings filled with vacuum tubes.
I know. Someone will have figured out an electronic Turing machine by then. They'll fit it in your home. I get it. So how are you going to present that to the committee?
I really don't have any ideas. I'm stumped. I either put them through the time machine themselves or do some kind of fancy trick that looks nice but doesn't actually show the machine off at all. I don't know. But I think I'm going to sleep on it.
You'll get it, Sally. You're good at what you do.
Tell it to the committee. Diary of Sally Grissom, July 16th, 1945. I'm back home now. The night in the desert was fun. Productive, I think. I figured out what to present to the committee. But more important than what we did that night was what we did this morning. This morning, we saw the world change.
Sally, wake up.
What? Are we there yet? Wickman woke us up a little after 5. Told me to get out of the car. He said that he felt bad about ending our vacation early.
So I thought I'd let you in on something special. Come with me.
What's going on? Where are we going?
The middle of the desert. Won't be long now. Hurry up.
Won't be long for what? We stopped on a cliff a few hundred feet from the trucks. The world hadn't yet woken up. It had just been raining, and the air was thick with petrichor.
Okay, everyone. Keep your eyes on that horizon.
What am I supposed to be looking for?
Just wait a little bit.
Chet checked his watch. He tapped on the face, counting down to the detonation, and then... Whoa! In an instant, the sky lit up. As the plutonium core of Trinity reached critical mass, the resulting emission of heat and light turned night into day. There was a brilliant light in the distance from the direction of Alamogordo, reflected by the mountains around us. It was so bright, I tried to avert my eyes, but something deep and primal inside me wouldn't let me look away. I've seen footage of the blast, but they couldn't prepare me for that explosion. They never could capture the colors. Reds and yellows more brilliant than I have ever seen. Wisps of violet and green climbed the fiery column into the mushroom, that damn cloud that forever stands for civilization's capacity for self-demise. Now we're all sons of bitches. It took a minute for the sound to hit. The ground shook. I covered my ears to diminish the roar of weaponized nuclear fission, and then the column dissipated, fading back into the bruised purple twilight. It was over. The twin reactions of terror and wonder on Wickman's face, the unbridled joy in Partridge's, the shock and terror on his wife's. After the burst, I don't think any of us said anything. About an hour later, the MPs picked us up and drove us back. The newspaper that evening said something about a detonated ammunition cache, but everyone in Polvo knew what was going on. It was the beginning of a new era. Oppenheimer's crew were heroes. At least, they're supposed to be. Impressive engineers, undoubtedly. Were they heroes because they'll end the war? Maybe. Stalin and Truman and Churchill are divvying up Germany as I speak. And sure, Manhattan put the U.S. first on the atomic weapons scene, but the only reason that Russia, or I guess the Soviet Union, had their bomb is because we had ours. Mutually assured destruction is just keeping up with the thermonuclear Joneses. I'm getting ahead of myself. I guess I'm the only person in the universe to know what happens in the next few decades, and there aren't many places I can appreciate that fact without being thrown into military prison or an asylum. But the Oversight Committee wants spectacle. Nuclear weapons are powerful not just because of the explosion or the fallout, but because of the deterrent. And so I gave them spectacle. Partridge, I need a favor.
You got it.
3 envelopes for Eisenhower, Donovan, and Groves. Inside each one was the sports scores from next Tuesday's newspaper and a statement of the timepiece's technical acumen signed by each of them a week from now. and of course an unsigned version of that same letter. I told them to wait a week, check the scores, and then sign the new letter. It was proof that the timepiece could send things back in time. At least to the committee.
How do your predictive models run with sports games?
What are you looking to do?
Partridge and I spent the last few hours before Judgment Day finding out that, with 99.8% certainty, the Cubs would beat the Phillies 7-3 next Tuesday. Not enough people appreciate the power of super in-depth statistical analysis. Then I wrote up a form letter emphasizing the project's potential uses, and forged the signatures of the three of them to make it all seem legitimate. The presentation went off without a hitch. I made sure Roberts and Wyatt weren't with me. I never told them what I did. They don't need that weighing on their conscience. I hope we were right about the ball game. It's a gambit. If the Cubs lose, I'm either incompetent or a fraud, and I'll probably get fired. If I pull it off, then I'm a genius. It takes a lot of work to set up something this risky, actually. It probably would have been more impressive to tell them. The things we do for funding. I've got a time machine, and I still can't convince people to pay for it unless I lie to them a little. But the little lies make getting through to what we need that much easier.
Helen, what's wrong? You were so quiet the whole way home. Are you okay?
You lied to me. You broke your promise.
What? Honey, what are you talking about? When?
Our first date. You promised me that your work would make the world better.
I wasn't lying, Helen. I'm still doing that good work.
I saw what those men were doing, Anthony. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. That is not good work. That is not making the world better.
We didn't do that, honey. That wasn't us.
It's no different. Men like Donovan have men like you building machines like that. They're using your gifts and your hard work to build that awful thing. Oh, God, Anthony, we drank the promise wine just last night. It makes me sick.
Honey, calm down.
We're leaving. I'm packing now and we'll leave.
You know we can't just leave.
I don't care. I don't care what those men have over you.
I'm not leaving, Helen.
What?
They have my work now. I can't just abandon it. I have to stay.
Anthony, you can't be okay with this. With what you saw.
Of course not. It's terrible. But my work won't end up like that. They're just building a bomb. I can build so much more, and I'll watch over it. I'll make sure they don't use it to hurt anyone.
Are you really that naive? The army will do whatever they want with your work and send you out the door with a $5 and a pat on the head.
I can't leave this behind, Helen. It's everything I ever worked for.
Aren't I everything you ever worked for?
You know that's not true. I worked for the betterment of mankind. I worked for science.
That was the wrong answer, Anthony.
Ugh.
What the hell were they thinking? Jesus Christ, I should have Sally Grissom in a cell so long that she'd meet herself. And just what in the hell was Anthony Partridge's role in this?
He planned it, sir. Orchestrated the whole trip.
What, to a resort town 10 hours away right before the meeting that could well make or break this town? What possible reason could he have for that?
It does seem particularly reckless. How did the timepiece presentation go, sir?
It was just awful. They used Anthony Partridge's research to make safe bets on the Cubs.
How did the committee react?
Groves was curious, ultimately bored. Ike lit up like a boy on a fat Christmas, but I have a feeling it won't last. It was a parlor trick, and they may not know it yet, but they'll figure it out soon enough.
May I speak freely, sir?
Sure, why not?
I think Dr. Partridge might be trying to sink Sally's team.
What makes you think so?
Well, like you say, sir, there's no part of this plan that seemed like a good idea. And I know Anthony, and he isn't reckless.
What are you saying? That he's trying to destroy us from the inside?
I don't think it's all of us. I think he's trying to destroy Sally.
Ars Paradoxica is created by Daniel Manning and Misha Stanton. Episode 3, Trinity, Act 2, features Kristen DiMercurio as Sally Grissom, with Ren Beeler, Rob Slotnick, Robin Gabrielli, Susanna Cavi, Katie Speed, and Zach Ehrlich, and additional vocal talent provided by Lee Satterwhite and Isabel Atkinson. Visit our website, arsparadoxica.com. Email us at arsparadoxica@gmail.com, and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud? If it's Ars Paradoxica, it's probably us. If you like what we do here, please tell your friends and family. Drop us a line. Write us a review on iTunes. And if you're feeling extra generous, we've even started a Patreon for the show. We really do depend on all our listeners for support. Ars Paradoxica is brought to you by the internet. Just don't read the comments.
Red. Red. 8. 11. 9. 10. 4. 16. 24. 17. 19. 2. 15. 4. 26. 15. 3. 26. 3. 6. 25. 10. 22. 16. 21. The weather in Tulsa today is windy.